it kind of helped them advance. I mean, do you think this was a conspiracy?
Gotta go with Jacob Butter. Gotta go
No,
lefty.
we're talking about the players. That's tournament champion into the podcast.
There he is, right there.
Oh, he doesn't even know how to watch. Go to youtube.com and search Down Lane Podcast. What's up, bowlers? Welcome to Down Lane Podcast. We are streaming live from the lab at Town and Country Lanes. I'm your host, and with me is the new Northeast Megabuck champion, Anthony Scaccia. Yes! $20,000 in his hand, in his pocket, in a bank, even. Congratulations, Anthony. Well done. Wow.
Nice, yeah, that was a little aggressive.
Yeah, my ears are feeling cold.
It had to be done.
You should have told me to put my earbuds on.
The monkey is off the back. He got his win. He is a champion. Wow. And what a big one it was. Congratulations, my friend.
Thanks, Kyle. Wow, what a great firm handshake that was. Thanks, Austin. Appreciate your time and effort and love. I am still the most useless person on this podcast. But yeah.
Well, that is true.
Does this mean our budget went up, Kyle?
I don't know. I haven't received any residuals from that $20,000 check, but so no, the budget's still $0.
It's okay.
Sorry, guys.
It's all right.
Maybe later.
So on tonight's show, AJ Johnson will be joining us a little bit later, about 7:15 or so. And for now, we will be talking about Anthony's huge success at the Northeast Megabuck tournament that we bowled at in Chicopee, Massachusetts. So let us just get right into it. But first, don't forget to like, subscribe, click the bell to get alerts from the channel, and check out that Etsy shop, which, by the way, we need some sirens and alert bells. And I got the dinghy bell, but we got new merch.
Bowler's Bowl.
New merch in the shop.
We need a bigger budget for that stuff.
Bowler's Bowl.
But so this weekend, how did this come about? So this weekend, we're bowling, obviously, at the Megabuck, and Anthony's like, the scores are high.
Well, okay,
I should be in already.
I was a little fired up because the scores were a little higher than expected. I had shot 940 and missed the cup by like 40. So I got my $100 back. So that was cool. And I was like, I just don't know if I can throw the ball any better. I thought I bowled pretty good, and it was on the fresh with urethane. So I was like, I don't know. And then I said to myself, well, bowler's bowl, because that was a phrase from someone else that I didn't tell Kyle about until after he made the shirt. Joe Dunbar, the great Joe Dunbar, always says bowler's bowl. So I was like, you know what, bowler's bowl. So I think I was talking to Wilbur because he was in the same situation. And then we both went and bowled because bowler's bowl. And then, Mr. 900 John Wilbur. And then we both ended up making the cut, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And bowled pretty well that shift. So, yeah, that's how bowler's bowl.
Bowler's bowl.
Yeah, he didn't include it. I believe it was it the last game you had a 300?
Yeah.
Yes, it was the last game. So let's take us through the day here.
Okay, I drilled our bowling balls till 3:15 a.m. You want me to start there?
Great way to start the weekend.
That's Saturday.
Friday?
Oh, yeah, Friday night. Right.
Technically,
sorry.
it is Saturday.
Yeah.
Kyle and I had done a grip change, and I heard Purple Hammer was good, so I brought 2 Purple Hammers in on Friday. Was fairly busy, so I didn't get a chance to do any of my stuff. And then I think I did about 12 balls refit for me and Kyle, plugged and stuff, cut down, shaved, sanded, finished around probably 3:30. I think I got in here at 11.
To be fair, my stuff was in here for at least a week.
Yeah, I'm not complaining. I just didn't do it because, I didn't do it.
Yeah.
So I ended up starting the day off, leaving here at about 3:10, 3:05, got home, showered, went to bed, back up at 7:45, and made you drive my truck there.
Yeah.
That's how we started.
And you didn't even sleep.
No, I just didn't want to drive.
Yep.
Did I make you drive home?
Understood. No, you drove.
That sucks. I should have made you drive home too.
Yep. Anyway, so then we get there.
We
shoot up.
Yeah, we chewed up, and we got to the lanes. We're bowling on almost 5-1, 27 mils. So I saw Purple Hammer was pretty good. I tried it in practice. It hooked really early for me. And I was like, I just don't feel like this is it.
We were on the
middle.
the burn squad though.
The burn squad first.
For our
Our first squad.
Our first squad that we bowled.
So I tried the purple slammer, purple score maker, and it just was a little too early. So I was like, I just don't feel like this is it. My ball changed into an ethos and maybe a brutal collision. I don't even know what I really threw. Maybe a GB2.
The ethos first, I think, for a few games.
Yeah, I went
just
to
a little
ethos.
too angular.
It was a little too angular. I went 209, 190, 150. No, 140, I think. That ball just wasn't it, and I just wasn't throwing the ball good at the time. The approaches were a little slick for me, too, so there are no excuses for the approaches, but I obviously didn't adjust them fast enough. Then the last game, I think I shot 210 or something. I actually didn't bowl a halfway bad game. We were signed up for the first two, or I should say the middle two squads. We didn't bowl the early shift. Middle two squads, and there's a late squad at 4. And after I got done shooting my stellar 700 for 4, I went right to the desk and signed up for the last squad, so I didn't get shut out. And you said, where are you going? And I said, I'm signing up for the last squad because I'd rather not need it and lose $5 than to need it and be shut out. So we ended up bowling the second shift, and that was on the fresh, and I bowled significantly better. When I shoot 936, I bowled really well. That was probably the best I've thrown the ball in a long time. And I think the cut for my squad was like 980 for the in, and then the at large moved to like 955
for your division. That was
for the division. 35 cut, and under was my division. Kyle wasn't in my division. But so our cut at large went to 950. I was a third in the squad. So I got $100. And I was
paid for your last squad.
Paid for my last squad, and I was kind of just debating bowling. And Kyle's like, "You're already here. You know you're gonna bowl." It's like, "Yeah, but like I don't know if I can physically shoot more than 950."
Famous last words.
But last year I did the same thing, if you remember.
Yeah.
So I ended up bowling the last squad, and I was supposed to bowl with Tim Foy, but Foy shot 998 the squad before, so he ended up pulling out. And then the last shift wasn't full, which is okay. I ended up bowling with a kid, Josh Stanek, in the handicap division, and Andrew Hall in my division. Andrew Hall beat me by about 5 pins. He shot 300, and then I also shot 1,008 and shot 300. And then the Josh kid actually made it to like the final like 4 or 5 handicap players. So he lost in the same round. I think Andrew, I beat Andrew in the semis. So I think he lost the same round as Andrew. So that pair, actually, we had a really nice pairing there. So,
yep.
I mean, that was kind of it. Did I take you through it? Do you want to know more, Kyle?
Yeah.
I mean, we're gonna show you 300.
Yeah. So not only did Anthony win, he shoots 300 that last block. The last.
Let's go.
1,008 over. Sorry.
Yeah.
I was 108 going into, or 1,008 over, 208 over. I came into that with like 237, 235, 239. And I actually missed a spare in the 10th frame of the last game. No, Grandpa Haines was not in my division. He was in the one above. But I missed a spare in the 10th to shoot 239. The game, Andrew Hall shot 300, so it had to be game 3. And I started that game off crushed 8, wrap 7. So I was actually really lined up. I could have had about 1050 really, whatever it would be. But so anyways, yeah, then we went to the last pair. That we ended up kind of towards the middle. If Kyle, if you know, the low end was wide open, the high end was super wet dry, and the middle was kind of a blend, obviously. It was 3 different bowling centers. It wasn't 3 different bowling centers, but it
felt like it.
It kind of was, which is typical. I mean, of course, they're never the same.
And the high end is where I couldn't strike at all.
The high end, I ended up figuring out how to play it. Angry Elf season is here. It is South Pole Elf time. On the high end, I moved right, Kyle. I don't know what you did. I used purple for both the second shift and the last shift we bowled. And I actually was kind of confused for a little bit because I didn't have as much room as a fellow lefty, Dennis Bissonette. So I never watch other lefties bowl, but I'm like, well, he hooks it way more than me, so I can watch him bowl. And I saw he was just trying to throw it left, so that's when I just opened my angles up and threw it to the left. And the ball never went left because it hooked so early, but it ended up being the right move. And I played about probably 5 or 6 boards. I had certain zones, we'll call it. I don't want to call it zones, but I had certain shots. Like I'd move 4 left and do something a little different, and then I would have another 4 or 5 right. I didn't really have a middle ground. It was either 4 left or 4 right, and I kind of just played it that way. And that's kind of how we got to the finals. We'll get to the finals, and I'll explain
let's
what I
talk
did.
about Sunday.
Already?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you want to know?
How did it go?
Okay, Grandpa Haines. Jeez, I get so angry. I came in third, so by a pin. I beat some guy by a pin. I don't know his name. Some random guy from Long Island. I beat him by a stick to get the bye with the 300 game. So that was a really big 300 game. So I got a bye to the quarterfinals. So I didn't have to be there at 7:30. I got to be there at I think he said 11, but I showed up right around 10:30. Just make sure I was there on time because he said it depends on how fast everybody bowls. He's like, there really is no set time. So you probably want to be here right around no later than 11. So I got there at 10:30. They weren't ready yet. So we got practice on the low end with the division leaders and all the guys who were in my division, or not in my division, in my position, third place. So we ended up practicing down there on 1 through 4 until our time was up. And then I had to bowl. I was the old man on the pair. I was 20. I'm 29, so I was older than the other 2 participants I had to bowl by 10 years, and Andrew Hall by 4 or 5 years. So we all 4 bowled on that pair, and it's eliminator style. So the top two players make it to the next round. I started with the front 6, and I got lucky enough to get a fast start. And then I threw a split in there. I thought it was a good shot, just overhooked, and then I just kind of kept it close the rest of the way. The other guys were a little too far behind. I knew I kind of made it as long as it didn't fall on my face. So I had 242. Andrew shot 247. He struck out for 247. The other kids had about low 200s. So we moved on to the semifinal versus Andrew Hall. And Andrew had a really good look. I kind of expected him to win if I didn't beat him there because his look was that good.
Is he still using purple on Sunday?
He went back to purple. He threw on Saturday. He threw a TNT infused.
But that was the burn squad at 4:00, right? Because the fresh squad he was using purple.
Maybe, yeah. And then he went to a TNT infused when I bowled with him, and then he went back to the TNT infused because he was trying to figure out how many games were on that lane on that pair. And then so he went back to purple, and then him and I were throwing purple in the semifinals. Actually, the whole pairing in the quarter threw purple hammers. There was 2 lefties, me and another kid, and 2 righties, and then our 2-handed righty. So then we went to the semifinals of Old Andrew. At this point, I wasn't looking at the scoreboard. I think I told people that. I just stopped looking at it because it was irrelevant. I just had to make a good shot. And I got into the 10th, and I knew that we were really close. And he just threw a 3-6-10. He made it, and then he threw a strike. So I just got up there and I did lace that one. I aced it, and I basically shut him out. I think I needed like a spare and 5 to win, but I got the first one, which I think I won. I won 10 by 10 pins, 224, 214. So I got the first one to kind of ease my mind not to throw a second shot. I didn't know I won. I feel bad because I walked back and he was walking up to grab his stuff, and I'm like, I don't even know if I won. Did I win? And I just turned up. He's like, you don't look at the score, man. And I was like, no. I was like, honestly, I just keep bowling at this point. The score is irrelevant. I'll look up at the end and see where I am. So
typical Anthony. Yeah,
just doing my thing. You know what I mean? And then we went into the final match, and in this format, it's the division, the 35 and under, 35 and over. Women/senior division and handicap 215 and under. It basically there's 4 tournaments in one in a sense, and then all the winners of that come together for what they call the shootout. And the shootout that round was $43,000 in prize fund. Obviously, first being 20,000, second being 12, third being 7, and like fourth being 4th. And it's just one game roll off basically. The senior and the women get 6 pins of handicap. And then the handicap guys, I think, get 12. The handicap guy shot 266.
Dude, yeah, and in semifinals, dude, he killed it.
Yeah,
absolutely killed it.
I don't remember his name. His last name was Brown. But I'll tell you what, he was probably the coolest dude there.
Yeah,
like we were taking pictures for media and stuff, and I'm like, hey man, you nervous? He goes, man, I don't even know what to do right now, man. I already got $4,000. He's like, I'm just a league bowler, man. I just want to have fun.
I'll tell you though, watching him on the stream, he was just like, boop. And then just nonchalantly walking it back. I'm like, totally... this guy, I was worried for you because I'm watching him throw it. And I'm like, Anthony's in trouble. Like this guy's just striking all day long.
It was definitely interesting. But he was on the left. So I did throw urethane very little in practice. They give you like 12 minutes of practice. So
it's a lot.
of course, there's me. I'm throwing spares in between my legs and behind my back.
Yeah,
and
that was.
Yeah, because I was just kind of over the practice.
What was that?
I was just tired of throwing at spares. I was like, I don't need any more. So, and the other guys wanted more practice, but they were kind of waiting till the end. And I was like, this is pointless. So I just started making spares, whatever. And then I didn't throw urethane that much because I knew that my shot would carry down. But I threw the first 3 shots in that final pair, and I was like, this is going to be really bad because my ball was not doing the right thing. It either hooked way too early or just bailed down lane when I moved right. And I said, well, I'm screwed. I'm going to have to literally just make spares. So I wasn't lined up in that game. The only guy I really wanted to beat seriously in all reality was Copping, because Copping strikes so much that if I beat him and came in third, those other 2 guys shot 260. Like he's just Copping's he's just unreal.
Yeah.
And the other guy is a good bowl Lathrop. He's bowled regionals. And the other guy was the handicap guy. He was a really nice guy. He was like, I need a drink, man. I'm like, like, man, you can go get a drink. I said, this isn't a PBA event. So we ended up bowling the last game, and I started off, I thought the left lane was my good lane. It had a lot of early hook compared to the right lane, and then when I moved right, it bailed down lane. So,
but it did the same for everyone.
Yeah,
everyone had the same trouble. Not just one lane, both lanes. All of a sudden,
I don't know.
Depending on what side of the lane you were on, like one lane got tight and one lane started hooking. It was wild to see. Everybody started leaving buckets or whatever. It was
I left a lot of those.
Only a couple.
I think I left 3 in one game. But that was the thing. Like it came down to the point where I don't know how they tightened up down lane so much because I didn't throw that much urethane because I know not
and they
to.
were fresh. They were just oil. It was crazy.
They were not, and we waited like 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And I knew I didn't want to carry down my shot,
right.
So I threw my game breaker 2 in the middle lane just to make sure that I was throwing like actual, not spares. And I actually threw the spare ball in the right lane. Somebody's like, "You were trying to mess their lineup." I was like, "No, dude. I was terrified throwing 10 pins." I said I was just praying to God I didn't leave one. And of course I left one. But yeah, so the last game was interesting. If you went back to the video and watched the last frame, I let the other guy go first. And if you watch my face, I'm looking at the dots and I just go like this. Oh, I don't know. So I had 2 parts of the lane I was playing. I told you guys 4. I was like 4 or 5 left on one, and the other one I was 4 or 5 right.
All right, well, let's watch the last 2 shots before we bring our special guest on, and then and here we go. So this is the best part because I literally messaged Anthony. I go, when I saw you lean back, I said, "This is a wild literally catch." Anybody's match. He knows where he's going to throw it, but he has no idea where he's going to throw it. And like
this one was pretty good.
He piped it and struck good.
That's it.
It was a great shot. And then it was the second one, which was
gets the Cali for the win. That was a $20,000 Cali
and
that's there. How this
stream. So all they said was that actually they said you needed 9. Well,
I needed 9 total.
Well, they said you needed to get 9, so that's why it was a little confusing. Yeah. But in any event,
yeah. Well, if you watch that video again, you go back, you cut it right as I did this. Oh, I don't know what I'm gonna do here. I mean, so
it was a good shot.
I ended up splitting
the
difference. Thank you. I ended up splitting the difference, and I told myself to throw it real hard. And then on the second one, I just don't think I threw hard enough. So, and that's how I crossed over. But we'll take it. I roll. What I do? I crossed over on the left lane in the 8th frame. The 9th frame, I rolled a 3-pin. The 10th shot.
Mashed the first one in the 10th.
I got the good. Well, I kind of got the 5 out real bad, and then the next shot I crossed over, and the last one I actually pured.
I think we're just screaming at the dog jumped. He jumped off.
I didn't know I needed it because I didn't. I told you, like I was telling, I didn't look at the score. I was actually counting marks, and I said, "Well, I'm the only guy clean, so I got to be close, right?" Yeah. So,
all right. Well, congratulations once again.
Thanks, Kyle. Was that a good synopsis? Are you okay with that?
It was good.
That was off the top of my head. You want more?
20K richer. Wow. Wow.
Taxes.
Gosh darn taxes. All right. Well, everybody's waiting. Let's bring on our guest, newly crowned. I'm going to say international PBA champion.
Thank you.
Team USA member, of course. And one of our kind of interviewees, we stuffed a microphone in his face while he was up at Glens Falls.
You did.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Brian. Why can't I say his last name?
I
can't say his last name. O'Keefe, thank you. When he was up at Glens Falls, we interviewed him. When he, coach of McKendree, right back in the olden days. Yep.
Jacksonville.
So anyway, let's bring on AJ Johnson. What's going on, AJ? How are you?
What's going on, guys?
Thanks for accepting our invitation.
Yeah, of course. I didn't realize coming on today that I would be needing to congratulate the people that were hosting me. So nice job. I also heard you say that T word. I got a little bit of the heebie-jeebies when you said that T word before bringing me on, because out here in Illinois we don't like that word taxes. We don't like that. So I hope you enjoy that $20,000, man. It's
Thank you.
enjoy the text document that you're gonna get from the nice IRS.
Yeah, I'm not really looking forward to it. I've already been figuring out all my expenses to try to ease the pain.
Hey,
Just me, New York State.
30%, put it away. You're good to go.
Appreciate it, brother. That's what we're gonna do, and we'll see how hard they hit me, and then we'll
hopefully
cry.
not too bad.
We'll see.
So speaking of Illinois, you were born and raised in Oswego, right?
I was born and raised Oswego, Illinois. And within the next 2 weeks, I will be a resident of Kenosha, Wisconsin.
Oh, really?
I will. My girlfriend and I are getting ready to close on a house here pretty soon, barring everything checks out okay with the sale of my house, and everything goes well with that. And then we'll start the tour season not long after that, and then March 7th, her and I are expecting our first child.
Yeah, congratulations. Very cool. Very cool.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So real quick about Illinois, since Oswego's like an hour or two outside of Chicago, right?
Yeah, but I mean, give or take traffic, you never know down there. I'm looking forward to getting away from that traffic and enjoying the easiness and the much better ease of getting around up here in Wisconsin. But yeah, it's about an hour or so out of the city.
This may be the most important question of the interview. Deep dish or real New York pizza?
Ooh. So this is what I tell everybody when I get asked the pizza question. There's only 3 places where you can get good pizza. If you want deep dish pizza or thin crust pizza, you come to Chicago. If you want hand tossed and pan pizza, you go to New York. And if you want the authentic stuff, you go to Italy. Everyone else is just trying to imitate, and they're all crap.
All right.
That is
fair
good.
enough. That's a good answer. That's a good way to sit on a fence, by the way.
That's perfect. I kind of like that. I'm going to try to remember that. My brain doesn't move that fast, but I'm going to write it down.
All right. So league question, because it was like this week or last week. Maybe it was right before Thanksgiving, because we didn't have a show last week. The PBA announced the new Elite League, which seems really exciting because at least my opinion, I don't want to speak for everybody on the show. The league has always been kind of like, it's kind of weird, whatever, because it's late. It's not even late in the season. It's after the season.
Yeah.
It's just kind of weird for me to watch afterward. But now they're like, it's during the season. What did I read? 14 or 15 events prior to the finals. It seems really, really exciting now. And you guys are going to be bowling every single tour stop after practice. How are you guys feeling about that? Or I should say you guys, like you're going to speak for everybody, but you give us your point of view about it, because it seems way more exciting than the previous league.
Yeah, no, it's it kind of came to all of us as a surprise. We have a group, PBA player Facebook group chat that kind of came to us by surprise. No one really, the players committee kind of knew a little bit of it, but no one really was able to speak on it prior to until things kind of got finalized and stuff like that. But seeing everything roll out, it's pretty awesome to see what has been talked about in years past kind of start to come to a little bit of fruition. And I think it's going to be exciting. I think this is the start of something that can be really, really good for the PBA. The PBA league is something that we've always thought as players where cities that are tied to teams can get behind those teams whenever we're traveling throughout the entire country during the tour season. Much like what you see with Portland with the Lumberjacks every single year. I mean, they have home field advantage every single PBA league because we go to Bayside, which is a great thing. We love Bayside, but we're like, man, it'd be cool if we could bowl matches in other places where other teams could get the home field advantage and kind of have the crowd behind them a little bit. But no, it's going to be a lot of fun. I think it's going to require a little more bowling. I think it's going to require a lot more, I guess, moving parts with the teams throughout the year. This year, this next season, there's going to be 6 guys on a team versus 5. And instead of 10 teams, it's going to be 8 teams. They took 2 teams away. They kind of moved some of the managers around a little bit. They changed a couple of the names of some teams. So there'll be 48 players in the PBA league versus 50. But with 6 players on a team, it kind of gives a little bit more chances of guys kind of going in and out throughout the year, depending on how players are bowling throughout the year, or if there's an injury or a family emergency, things like that. It allows for that. And then having the playoffs and the finals ultimately being in Bayside is going to be cool. And with the matches leading up to that, there's going to be so much buildup and so much anticipation with it. And I mean, it's just going to erupt when those final 6 teams get to Bayside, which is another kind of different part. Not all teams make it to Bayside. Only the top 6 after all the matches. So we'll bowl 14 matches throughout the year. Some actually will be on FS1. Will be on live television. And then most of the other matches will then be on Bowl TV and live stream. So a lot of TV exposure for some guys. I think it's a great thing. I think if they can keep building on it and keep going year after year, create different sponsorship opportunities. Like I said, cities can get behind the teams and stuff. So I'm really looking forward to see what happens. The draft is going to be December 13th. So that's the day right before we close on the house. So I'm going to be packing the moving van up, also with Bull TV up, trying to watch the draft and see what happens with that. But no, I'm really looking forward to it. I hope I end up with a team. Hopefully I end up getting protected on Las Vegas, because we've had a really great team the last couple of years. We've all bowled well together. Leto is an amazing manager. He's one that's lived it. He knows how to kind of handle the different intricacies with bowling on TV as a team and stuff like that. So he's been great with us. And we bowled really well since being on a team. We finished 2nd, 3rd, and 3rd. So, I mean, there's nothing you can really complain about that. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, you touched on a couple of points that we've talked about before. One being the buildup that you don't get previously in the way that the league was formed or formatted, I should say, where it's like we just get to see a week of events. The people in Portland, they look like they're having a freaking great time because they get to see the whole event, whereas we get to see just like a couple of days on TV. We don't get that buildup just on TV. But now it's going to be a whole season. It's going to be just like watching football or watching baseball, I think anyway, where you're seeing, if you're watching it on Bowl TV or whatever, or on FS1, and hopefully they cover it on that weekend's tournament on TV. They show you the highlights of what happened as well, because I think that is really important to build up some storylines, build up some player profiles, because like you touched on, not everybody makes TV, right? So like somebody like that we talked about that's kind of from not our area, but kind of down the road a little bit, Jason Sterner, good bowler, right? Good guy. Doesn't make a lot of TV shows, but he's on I don't remember what team he's on.
Waco Wonders.
Thank you.
The reigning champs.
You should know that, Kyle.
But whatever.
Where's
My brain does not work very well. But, but he gets to be on TV a lot more, right? And then we'll get to learn more about these guys that aren't EJ and Simo and AJ and all these guys that are on TV all of the time, right? Taking up all of the airtime because we only have so much or so many dollars to spend on just the finals. So it's going to be way better, I think, for bowling to have all of these not tour stops, but
events.
Yeah, it's going to make it so much better.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Like you said, guys, get some more TV time and stuff. All the fans and everything in years past, they get to see just the Final Five on TV. And I've said for a long time, I wish we could get some super rich guy to come in and want to create the bowling channel like they did the golf channel, where you got to see qualifying and match play in the finals all on TV all week long, just like you do with golf. That would be incredible, because then everyone could watch their favorite players all the time. You could create storylines and see everything that unfolds every single week, whether it be a major or a smaller event. So I think this kind of gives a little bit more with that, and having the team atmosphere, which you see a lot of things kind of come out of players in that team environment. Some emotion and stuff comes out a little bit more than what you would see in a singles match. So it'll be cool. I think it's a great opportunity, and I hope it just continues to build. And I hope, companies and the PBA sees what a great product that they have with it, and can just keep building and building it, year after year.
Speaking of emotions, you seem to be probably one of the more intense guys on the shows, for sure.
It's his football side.
What do you do to kind of keep yourself in check mentally on the lanes, day to day, minute to minute, hour to hour? Is that a song that I just sang? I think there's a song that's like that.
Anyway. If it's not, you definitely could record it, and you probably could make millions. There's a lot of songs out there now where they just babble and they make millions. So I'm sure you could do something with it.
Hit the B button, Austin, so we can go back and.
But yeah, so what are you doing to keep your headspace right? I see the other day I saw wearing ear pods. Like, what music are you listening, or what are you listening to when you're practicing or whatever? What do you do mentally to keep yourself in the right state of mind?
I definitely think earlier on in my career, I definitely would kind of let the emotions kind of go a little bit more than what I do now. I've learned over time, how to control them, let them out when the right time, and keep them, kind of keep them in quiet on TV, especially in singles matches too, and conserve that energy and utilize it when needed. But I work with a mental performance coach. I kind of touched on a lot of that in the last article that was written in Bowler's Journal. His name's Brian Kane. He's out of Arizona. He works with a lot of high-end athletes. He worked with George St. Pierre for the longest time during his career. He works with a lot of Division I NCAA programs. He works with Corbin Burns, pitcher for the Milwaukee Brewers. So he's got a long list of guys that he's worked with and has been successful with. And I got the chance to meet him and work with him with Team USA the first time. I think it was back in like 2018. And then just within this last year, I reached out to him on a personal level to work with him individually, to do things with him, because I was really struggling with a lot of stuff. And I hit on some of those things in that article. But we set a lot of stuff in place about, scheduling your days, having everything in place, ready to go for every single day, planning out every minute of the day, no matter what's going on, especially during the tour season for me is really important because we have a lot of stuff going on week to week, travel, different cities, trying to figure out, the best time I can get home now with the little one on the way. And, trying to get all that stuff planned out is very difficult, especially when our time is getting pulled in a lot of different directions. So we work on that, a lot of scheduling. And then a lot of stuff that he does is process oriented and just having something to go to throughout the week. So I have a whole process that I could tell you like the back of my hand that I do before I throw every shot. I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, I bowled league the other night, and I do the same thing when I'm throwing a shot in league that I do when I'm bowling the U.S. Open in qualifying or at any point in time. So we worked on a lot of that stuff, and when to recognize when things are kind of going haywire, and what to do to kind of release that and let things go and kind of get back on the same track and just really focus on one shot at a time, and that the only shot that matters is the next one, because it is the next one. And that's all you can control at that point in time. So, we did a lot of stuff with that, and just to kind of he was able to kind of break things down for me and look at things in a different perspective, since he's not a true bowler himself. He just works with everything upstairs, and that's all. That's what he's trained in. That's what he's a professional in. And he kind of set everything out for me and said, hey, why are you doing this to yourself when, you're still right where you want to be? You just need to figure out what you need to do personally a little bit better and control yourself a little bit better on the lanes. So that way you can ultimately get to where you want to get to. And he's been a huge help for me, and is going to be, going forward throughout my career.
One of the things I also notice is seems like fitness is a huge aspect in your life and on tour and in your
I'm really
bowling.
sure right now. I'm working on my dad bod right now, so it's not really
I'm
right now.
Dude. I'm all about it. So
Kyle's on a weight loss program. Right now.
if you want to follow along, you can just it's all right here. Anyway, so I used to travel for a living, so I know all about how horrible travel food and diet is.
Oh.
So how do you do that? So we went to the Masters last year, and we're like, wow, there is a lot of just nothing to do time. Like, what do these guys do all day, every day?
I think we sat in the hotel room the last day for 6 hours playing tic-tac-toe.
Tic-tac-toe, or whatever it was on the phone.
Sharp, I like it.
Yeah.
Who was the champion?
He killed me like every time.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't play those games.
Yeah.
I'm just I'm a
And
doer.
then we watched like the golf thing on the golf doc. I'm like, wow, these guys have so much. Like, what the heck do these guys do all day? So yeah, what do you guys do to keep your mind in the right place? Obviously, other than what you just talked about, but like, I mean, in your downtime with all of those hours between squads and with your health and everything, like what can you guys do to keep yourselves in the right state with all those hours?
Yeah, I mean, it obviously just depends on the event, depends on where we're at. I mean, there are some places where we go where it's super cold outside and you don't really want to go do many things outside of where you're at. And then when we have the multiple squads, where you get the downtime, depending on when it is that I have to bowl, it will dictate kind of what I do throughout the day. So if I bowl early, then it's bowling, right away, beginning of the day. And then later on, it's, grabbing some food and then going back, maybe getting a light workout in. And then just trying to do what I can at night to get my body to calm down, get some good rest, figure out, if I need to figure out a different game plan, I talk with our ball reps, in between squads quite a bit, just to get an idea of what's going really well, what's not looking good, and just to get a feel when I come into the bowling center the next day, so that I can get a better game plan or just kind of continue on what I have been doing. We don't really watch a lot of bowling. Like there's not a lot of guys that will go and just sit in the bowling center and watch all day long. Sometimes I will, just depends on, when I bowl. So like you talk about the Masters. So before the afternoon block, like in the morning, I would get up, get everything ready. I'd go over a little early just to watch, because we're going to be bowling on what is left over from them. So we'll go and watch that. But, when we have a tour stop where it's an A-B squad and it doesn't really matter, you might catch the last couple games just to see what they're doing. But then ultimately it's just having conversations with the ball reps just to figure out what they saw, and then what you can kind of do a game plan around that. And then plan for, what'll happen in your squad, depending on who's in your squad as well. But yeah, then away from bowling, food wise, gym, it just kind of, like I said, it depends on where we're at. I go to Planet Fitness because there's one in every city. Not a huge fan of Planet Fitness, unfortunately. Just
do not drop the weights, man.
Yeah, I know. They have this lunk alarm, and they say they don't judge anyone, but as soon as you drop a weight, they judge you immediately. So I don't free
zone except.
Yeah. So I like it because there's one in every city we go to, so I always have access to something. But there's sometimes where I'll just use the hotel gym if I'm staying in a hotel versus an Airbnb, just to use the treadmill to walk and then do some body weight stuff just to get the body going either in the morning or when I'm done, to stretch and all that good stuff. Because that's been a much bigger focus for me over the last couple of years is the stretching, the body the functional movements, the body weight stuff. Not so much a lot of higher weight or a lot of weights, being pushed around. Except for leg day, I try to push around some weight on leg day because we're on our legs for so long. But yeah, I have a guy that I work with pretty religiously at home. His name's Paul Schroeder. He works with Fast Track Physio, or he owns Fast Track Physio. And he works with a lot of stuff with me to give me things to do when I travel so I can get my body, certain muscles activated to get going before I bowl. And then he does a lot of like soft tissue release, myofascial stuff, things that are really important for us with bowling, more so than the actual, lifting part. So I'm trying to do more of that as I travel, just to keep my body going in the longevity part as well.
What's the diet like? Are you like a no carb guy? Are you a keto guy? Are you a meat guy? Like, what's your thing?
I always look for protein no matter what. That's a big must. I don't really follow a strict diet plan. I try to find whatever I can, like the best option that I can whenever we travel. So I'll tell the guys that if we go out to eat with some people, I'll say, hey guys, like you guys figure out where you want to go. I'll always be able to find something. Because I don't want to like pick a place that they won't be able to find something if they don't want to eat, if they don't want to eat a little healthier, they want to add, they want pizza or they want, something greasy or whatever. I don't care. I'll find something no matter what. But when I'm home, like when I was able to, like I ate a lot of chicken, a lot of lean ground turkey, rice, broccoli, those sorts of things. So I try to find a lot of that stuff when we travel and whatnot.
What's your favorite meal on tour? You can find anything. Your favorite
meal,
or that you had this year, or if you're going somewhere, you gotta go there again.
Man, that is so tough.
I should have gave you a list of questions I had, but I didn't make one for myself.
Man, that. We go. Whenever when I travel away from home, I like to find places that are in that area that I can't find at home or that I would be able to eat. But when I do get to come home, because it's not everywhere, I love going back to Portillo's and get myself a chopped salad with extra chicken.
I don't even know what that is.
A chopped salad?
No, Portillo's.
It sounds it's Italian, obviously.
It is Chicago grown. It is the original one was in Chicago. It used to only be you could only get it in the Chicagoland area, but now they've branched out. I mean, there's one in Fort Wayne. There's one being built in Vegas. There's one up in Gurnee. There's one in Arizona. There's one in California. So they're growing, but
all right.
They need to get one out on the East Coast for you guys, so you guys can experience.
Or when we go out to Vegas for nationals, we can stop.
If it's there, he said it's.
They're being built, right?
Yeah, if it's done, I heard they were going to build one in Vegas. I just don't know where or when it's to be done.
Well, and speaking of Vegas, you bowl at OCs with your dad. I heard. Is that right?
I do.
Yeah. Has bowling been a big family thing for you guys?
Oh yeah. I probably wouldn't be bowling if it wasn't for my dad and my mom. My parents met in a bowling center. I learned how to walk in a bowling center. It's been something like I used to always enjoy when I was real little. I used to enjoy going and watching my dad bowl the Open Championships every year. And if I didn't get to go, I'd throw a fit because that was like the one time I got to get away from home and travel. And I actually there was one story my dad loves to tell everyone when it comes to like the bowling stuff was when I was little. I think I was, maybe 7, 8 years old, 6, I don't know. he was going to the Open Championships, and it was a year that I couldn't go. I got told no, and I was not happy about it. So when my dad wasn't paying attention, I took all of his underwear out of his suitcase and hid it in my room. And then he got to the Open Championships, and he called my mom and said, I have no underwear. And she goes, yeah, I know it. They're underneath your son's bed.
That's awesome.
That's fantastic.
Oh my God. Imagine if your kids did that. They can't wait for you to go.
Yeah,
Hey,
no,
see you later.
they couldn't care less. Yeah.
My
Yeah.
dad.
I'm fully waiting for that from mine, because I know, like, when he gets to a certain age, he's going to equate bowling to dad leaving.
Yes.
And so I'm waiting for, just because of how I know I was and what I did, I'm waiting for something. Like, something is going to happen when I get ready to leave for a tournament, and I'm going to end up calling home and going, what the hell? Like, this little shit. Like, can you guys seriously? Like, I got to find all this new stuff now. Yeah.
That is
Great.
fantastic.
That is a great.
Stephen Quick wanted to know if there were any other gym rats on tour that you hang out with, or if there are any other on tour.
Yeah, Jason Sterner is a big one.
Oh, yeah.
I always see him in there. And his Jason Sterner's wife is actually a trainer and a sports performance person. She's actually working with the Paul, who owns Fast Track. They're working on rolling out a whole bowling exercise thing, which is pretty cool. Marshall Kent, he's my roommate on tour. He's another one. Him and I go all the time. Darren Tang, Chris Vi. A lot of the younger guys are starting to go a lot more. I think they're starting to see the importance with it, and how well it can be utilized, for us and the guys out on tour. Some of the older guys, not so much, but the younger generation guys, they're definitely doing it more.
It seems like it's definitely swinging that direction, right? So, like, you can see the paradigm shift from even my age group to your guys' age group. It's only 8 or 10 years, but still.
Yeah.
Wow, way better than you guys were.
But yeah, you can see the shape difference, if you will.
It's it was one of those things where, like, those guys that were winning all the time, like, they were, you look at some of the guys that are winning and they're like, wow, they probably haven't really been in a gym or seen the inside of a gym. And so, some of the guys that are either some of the older guys that are actually bowling a lot better now. I mean, there was a stretch where Belmo was really getting after it quite a bit, and it showed. He looked more athletic. He looked, like he was doing things to take care of that, and he was bowling really well. There are just some, with bowling, it's, there's a lot of guys that don't think you need to do anything like that in order to win on tour, and that was the case for a while. But I think like you said, we're starting to see a little bit of that, that switch, and it's not necessarily like, I speak a lot about it, but, like, it's not so much of like, you got to be a gym rat and work out and throw weights around, and, you got to be able to bench 325 and all that stuff. Like, that's not it at all. No. It's more so of getting everybody to view bowling as a true sport, and not especially professional bowling, and not the bowling of, showing up, eating a 18-inch size pizza and 3 pitchers of beer in a league night. Like, that's not what we're trying to promote. Or we're trying to get rid of that stereotype.
I mean,
that's good. I like that.
I may partake in some of that.
I do too.
But, yeah, no,
I bowl league for fun. You mean to tell me I'm not going to have a couple Jack and Cokes when I'm bowling league? Yeah, get out of here.
No, I'm just messing with you, but I 100% agree. But it also has its health impacts too, as far as, I mean, longevity on the lanes. If you want to be bowling, I mean, if you want to be winning and bowling for as long as you can, look, I don't want to say anything bad about the guy, but look at Wes Malott. His back is killing him. I mean, if he maybe took a little bit better care of himself, I don't know the situation, but could he be not feeling that pain? I don't know. I don't know the guy. I'm just saying.
Sure. And I know he's trying. He's actually been one that's really trying to do some stuff now.
Right.
And it's been cool to see. But the one example I always use, and the guy, like, I could not believe how good of in shape he was, because I just didn't know all the things he was doing. But the prime example is Norm Duke.
Yeah.
That guy was in the locker room. It was the year that he won. He won 2 events not too long ago before he retired. He was in the locker room and he changed his jersey, and the guy at 52, 53 years old still had a freaking 6-pack. I'm like, dude, what are you like? Did you just not eat ever?
And he did what he had to do to keep himself winning.
Yeah.
60 years old, basically.
Yeah.
Killer year that year too.
Yes, it was unreal.
All unbelievable.
That was the Indianapolis Open he won.
Yeah.
Of them.
How do
You guys, how do you just your memory is unbelievable.
Now, what physical advantages do you see going in the gym? Rev rate higher, just feeling better throughout the blocks. Like, what have you noticed?
Feeling better 100%. I mean, I don't necessarily think, the rev rate part of it. I mean, you'll see a little bit because you have a little bit more strength in certain areas. Definitely the legs, being able to use your legs more. But ultimately, like it's just the, feeling better and feeling like when you go from week to week that you don't really have to worry about things that are happening with your body. You can just focus on bowling at that point. Like, that's one thing that I thought was great. Like, yeah, I got to get loose and stretch, and I use a massage gun and things like that. And you got to take care of yourself that way. But I knew when I would go bowl every week, like there were things with my body that I didn't have to worry about, that I could just worry about the bowling side of it and figuring out the lanes and doing things like that. And that's a huge part with traveling, because a lot of us, we drive and we're driving, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours at a time. And we got to be able to figure out ways to make our body feel better after we're doing that, so we can get ready to bowl at the highest level.
Being stuck in a single position for multiple hours, it's freaking horrible. You get locked in. It's terrible.
Done it before.
Then you get up and walking feels like you've never done it before.
Yeah. Got you. So we got a couple minutes left. Actually, I'll get Paul Phillips' question here. He said, what was the best game as QB, and who was your favorite player growing up?
The favorite player one is that's easy. And I'm sure I don't know how it gets taken these days, but my favorite player ever of all time, hands down, no questions asked, Tom Brady.
All right. Well, it's nice chatting with you.
He is the greatest. Unbelievable.
Before he really started really winning, like he was a guy that I just always watched, on things that I wanted to do when I played. And as it started to grow, like he was always winning with guys that, didn't become a name until after they played with Brady. Like, and it was amazing to see how he worked throughout a season and making it to the final game every single season, and then getting there again and just literally outworking everybody. And it was there's no questions asked to me. Like I don't think we will ever see another Tom Brady in the NFL for a very, very, very long time.
That's fair to say, sadly.
You're a Dolphins fan. You'd never like them.
It's terrible.
Well, keep in mind who I'm doing a clinic with this weekend. He's a big Dolphins fan, so I'm kind of pulling for him, because I don't really have a dog in the fight anymore. I'm trying to find a new quarterback or a new player that I just want to root for and get behind. It was Kirk Cousins for a little bit after I watched the quarterback special on Netflix, and then he tore his Achilles. So I'm like, well, I can't do that right now. So I'm trying to pull for Josh Allen a little bit. I like Josh Allen.
You just don't like anybody, Kyle.
I mean, not anybody that's the AFC East.
Do you even like your own quarterback?
Yeah, he's good. He's fine.
Tua?
Tua, actually.
Yeah.
But when
so you're not a Bears fan then?
I root for them because that's where I'm from. So, but it's very hard to do these days. Like, it is very hard. Like it hurts my eyes to watch what they're doing. They're play calling. I'm like, guys, I'm like, how many times on 3rd and 8 are you going to run a screen route?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
To complete.
They
did win me some money last week.
All right. Cubs or White Sox?
White Sox.
Okay.
That's an interesting one.
When
I'd pick the White Sox.
I was a
over the Cubs,
child,
too.
I picked the White Sox for some reason, but I don't watch baseball anymore. So,
Yeah. But
all right. So then,
I will say my best when I played, I had a game. I threw for 548 yards and 5 touchdowns. That was my best game.
Oh, holy crap!
We'll get him on Dallas.
Anthony played quarterback
They
in
could
high
use
school.
No, I didn't. I quit that job. No, man, I wanted to hit people. I went back to linebacker.
What do you think bowling as an industry? I mean, I think the PBA is trying their hardest. I really do. What do you think bowling as an industry could do to like help it explode? Like, I don't know if there's any right, wrong, or whatever.
Itself?
And yeah, like
All right.
you know, I feel like I think
viewership,
it's getting better.
participation.
Don't get me wrong. I think there's a lot more people bowling, and I think it is getting better. But what do you think? If there's one thing you could say, what do you think bowling something could be done?
Oh man, that's one of the things that we talk about in the industry, especially at the professional level, a lot. Trying to figure out ways that we can grow and get back to where bowling was in sports back in like the 80s and 90s, early 90s. And it's tough because you have CEOs of Fortune 500 companies that go play golf. They don't go to the bowling center and bowl. And all their sponsorship dollars, they get allocated towards golf. That's why you see companies like BMW, Rolex, Omega, FedEx,
John Deere.
Deere. I mean, John Deere. Nationwide. Like, I mean, you see all these big, huge companies that they put their money in golf because the CEOs of those companies, the higher ups of those companies, they do business on the golf course. And we got to figure out a way to try to get them to see that bowling is cool. I see it all the time, like, with certain guys, that play other professional sports, Mookie, T.O., like those guys, like they think what we do is so cool and they love it. But how do we get the guys that are involved in those sports and the people that throw millions of dollars into those sports also get involved in bowling? And it's tough. And the biggest thing that we struggle with too in bowling is the separation between professional and amateur.
Mm-hmm.
There's no other sport in the world where an amateur can go and make more money than a professional, but you can't in bowling. And bowling likes to punish those that are really good. Like there are certain events that I cannot bowl because I'm a PBA player.
Mm-hmm.
Or because that I've made Team USA. Like I before I even made a TV show on tour, I went to go bowl. I wanted to bowl a tournament, and I read in there I couldn't even bowl because I was on Team USA. For whatever reason, I don't get it. Bowling wants to punish those that are better, and you see it in all these other sports, like in golf. Like guys, like I know a guy that plays golf on the Korn Ferry Tour. And had for so long, and he did well, and don't get me wrong, did really well. But the difference between that and what they make at the PGA level is astronomical. We don't have that in bowling. There are guys that they'll just bowl amateur events. Like there for a while, there were guys that just bowled amateur events, and they made more money bowling those than guys that bowled on the PBA tour. Can't have that.
Our regional tour, we've talked about this on the show before. The regional tour is not even a way to make money. Like, and you might say, or someone might say that it shouldn't be, but you should absolutely be able to, I shouldn't say make a living, but you shouldn't be going out there every single weekend or whenever they're available in our region and have no opportunity to make money. Like, anyway,
Sure.
So point being, it's just, at least with the Korn Ferry Tour, you have an opportunity to make the tour. And then
Right.
with regional, it's like you make all your points in the regional, and then, oh, by the way, you still got to bowl a PTQ on the tour. It's like, I know they changed some of that now for this coming season, but it was still kind of a slap in the face to the kind of the point that you were making with the
Yeah.
Corn Ferry. But
Yeah, no, for sure. And I definitely think that, the having the regional tour be a stepping stone into the PBA tour, I think there could be a better way to go about that. I don't know the answer to that. That's above my pay grade. But
we'll get Tom back on.
yeah, it's just, trying to figure out a way to create that as a stepping stone where, like, you have guys that bowl the regional tour, much like how it is in the Corn Ferry. And let's say that the top 10 guys in the regional level, put them all together, or the top 2 or 3 from every region gets to earn a certain status on the PBA tour where they don't have to bowl PTQs. They get to bowl priority entry, or they get to bowl the actual event for the whole season. Or being able to throw a little bit more money in the regional tour to be able to show, like, provide that big stepping stone into the national tour. There's so many different ways that we can, we could probably sit here for the next 3 hours and come up with different ways that we could do things better, or, ways that bowling can get us to that certain spot. But, it comes down to viewership, viewership on TV, which I think Fox has done. I think Fox has done an amazing job taking us on, because they want to have us. They want to broadcast bowling. They've done a better job than what ESPN had done in the past. But just creating viewership, getting us in the public eye, getting us in front of guys that have the millions of dollars that want to watch it and say, you know what, this is really cool. This is fun to watch. And they want to sponsor it. They want to put their money into it. The betting part of it, sports betting is huge across our country. And we got to figure out a way to do that with professional bowling as well. They did it for a little while, but I don't know what all transpired from it, because we're really not able to do anything with that.
You can't throw your own match?
I don't think that's happening.
Can't Pete Rose that thing?
No, but figure out a way to get the money and things like that, and create the viewership, and what will get us back to that. Like I said, it is getting better. It's there's a ton of people that bowl. Bowling is still one of the most participated sports in the entire world, probably second to soccer. But we just got to figure out a way to just somehow equate that, or turn that into dollar amounts to where we're bowling, for real professional sports money. Not to take anything away from where we're at now, because it is way, way better than what it was. And they're really trying to figure out ways to do that. But in the professional sports world, we're like, man, golfers are making, you got to get down into the hundreds before you find a guy that doesn't make $1 million.
Right. Yeah. I don't know what the teams, just going back to the Elite League, I don't know what the teams were making, if much of anything, to bowl in that tournament. But now there's like $100,000 for the winning team this year for the Elite League. So that's even, I think, better than which is like 20 or 15,000 a guy. So that's good. But it all comes down to, like you said, getting more viewers to watch, which will bring in the sponsorships and ultimately make more money for the guys on tour. One last thing before we let you go. Strings. Where you at?
I was going to ask him that.
Oh, string pins, I think, at a recreation level, makes sense, because it helps with the cost and maintenance part of upkeeping a bowling center. Can make a bowling center run a lot longer. The guys, the availability of guys that can truly work on certain machines nowadays are a lot scarce than what they used to be. So as from that standpoint, it makes sense. But at the elite level of bowling, at the high level of bowling, string pins just don't make sense at all.
Which I 100% agree. But at the same time, if you keep dividing, like you said, he's getting called out. If you keep dividing elite,
I'm trying to get baby mama to come on here.
Versus amateur, come on down. Elite versus amateur. Then you'll just start dividing. You'll have a huge canyon versus, oh, I can bowl here for a tournament or I can only bowl here for league. That's where I see a major problem.
Sure.
Like if you have strings, then like this place is only allowed to bowl in recreational leagues, and this place is you're only allowed, well, you can bowl everything in this place that has free fall, but this place is only allowed to bowl recreation. So that's where I see a huge problem with that. But
sure.
anyway.
And I got to test a little bit of it at USBC at Team USA camp last year.
Those would be like the certified ones then?
I think so, but it was in the testing process, so it was before whatever they got to now, where I guess they figured out a way to whatever length of string, material of string, whatever it is, to where they're saying that they actually kind of fall a little bit more like free falling. But when I first bowled on it, it was definitely, not that way at all. It was, sometimes you get the 6-pin that just lays flat in front of the 10 and you don't get nothing. Or, I seen one of the centers near me actually went to it. And I've seen a kid, was told about a kid actually that had the front 5. He threw the 6th one. All 10 pins went down, but you look up at the screen and it registered a 9 and the string respot the 7-pin. And they say that you just have to go with it. So like that's where it causes some problems, because you watch all 10 fall, but then it registers a 9 and it sets it back up. It makes no sense to us.
Yeah. And then the strings, according to the USBC rules, are allowed to knock pins over in the new rules. And then
making splits are way easier with strings than they are free fall.
And if the pin's off spot, you can't reset it off spot with the new string pins. So it has to always go back to its regular spot. So, if a 4-pin is off spot, it will always just go back to a 4-pin. So it's just, I don't know. They're not for me.
They're not for Kyle. Kyle's tried and true, old school, rubber bowling balls kind of guy.
Yes, the free fall for me is great because I like when we throw messengers or something like that. It's great. String pins, you don't get very many messengers.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It would kill the PBA TV. You want to bring people to watch TV and watch PBA, string pins would murder it. It'd be dead or on arrival, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. At the elite level where we're at, it doesn't really have a place. But I understand it from a maintenance and cost level for running machines and running bowling centers and keeping bowling centers going, for sure.
All right. Well, I appreciate you coming on tonight. You've you haven't overstayed. We've kept you on too long. So I appreciate you staying on with us, and thank you very much for hanging out with us. Good luck this year, and have a nice holiday season, and we'll see you hopefully on a lot of TV shows. Yeah, no, that's the plan. I appreciate you guys having me. I love, talking about all this stuff. It gets me excited for next season and everything like that. And the goal is to not be the international.
Yeah, baby. I was waiting.
It still counts as national PBA. They ain't let nobody take that shit away from me, and not one bit.
That's fine. Hey, I'll give.
I no longer have to bowl that stupid PTQ before the TOC, so we're good to go.
It's all good. It's all good. I'm the show. Then I'm glad you saw it. I wish you the best of luck, brother. Make sure you get one on the national side.
That's right. Yeah, Adrian's the next one. So yeah, it's I'm looking forward to it. Excited, with the move and, the baby coming. There's going to be a lot of things going on, a lot of people, counting on me. So I think it's going to be fun and just try to do as much as I possibly can. And I think it's going to be fun to do the new PBA Elite League as well. So I appreciate you guys having me and letting me kind of talk about some stuff. And hopefully you guys get me on next year and we can do some more stuff.
Heck yeah, man.
You got it, brother. You got it. Thank you very much, man.
You too.
Take care.
Thanks, man. Have a good night.
Alrighty, AJ Johnson on the show. That was good. Good stuff.
Yeah, I'm glad he saw what I said, baby. I love it. I'm glad.
He was fantastic.
Yeah, it was a good show. Good interview.
Fantastic. And I really love that there's more people speaking up about the mental side of bowling.
Yeah.
I know I was perusing through Facebook, and Daria had made a post about the mental side of it, creating physical differences, the physical side of it, creating mental differences. And I think a lot of people kind of put that to the wayside until they, get into tournaments and are like, I don't know what to do. And that's when they start to kind of focus in on the mental side of it.
I don't know
And,
if you know this about me, but I'm a freaking head case.
No, it couldn't be Kyle.
Kyle, we've known that for a long time now. You are a overthinker, and then there's me.
All right.
The
Well,
not thinker.
Got 2 underthinkers and 1 overthinker.
it is time for us to go bowling. So please don't forget to like, subscribe, click the bell to get alerts from the channel. Thank you guys for hanging out with us tonight while we had AJ Johnson on. It was
Did you
a great
message him
interview.
from my Facebook?
No, it was from Instagram,
Oh, good.
from our account, from our Downlane podcast.
Are you stopping
We have
using
one
my
of those.
Facebook now? Or are you
Oh
still
no,
using
no,
it?
I use the heck out of it.
I know you bought a tractor the other day. I saw that.
So thank you, AJ, for coming on. Great show, great interview. Don't forget to go to the Etsy shop, which has some new merch in it. Got a
Bowler's
new T-shirt,
Bowl?
Bowler's Bowl. We got
Bowler's
the Thane Bang shirt is in there. Will Bowl for food. We got some big
Bang, bang.
sales on the Will Bowl
I
for
think,
food shirt. Big sales.
I think
No
maybe
pun
we should
intended.
get a Lefty Love shirt on there with maybe a picture of the 20K ball.
Ooh, that'd be interesting.
New merch that I need to work on.
Don't worry, I did all the new merch.
I don't know how you make them, man. I don't know how it works. You got
okay.
to show me.
type it
I don't
in.
get it. I'm
And then
just
you
not.
crop
I'm not.
it, and then you,
Okay.
Yeah, here we go. You two acting all big shot over here.
You guys can always email us at downlanepod@gmail.com. If you can't catch the show on YouTube, where you should like it, you can like and subscribe. You can download and listen on your favorite podcast service. Excuse me. And thank you to Jack. I can't even talk tonight.
He's
Thank
still
you to
nervous.
Jack
Wow.
Scaccia,
He's still
proprietor of
nervous.
Town and Country Lanes,
Wow.
for having us here in the pro shop.
Mhm.
Thanks to you, Austin, the producer, Van Buren,
Thank
for
you.
producing this video.
Mhm.
Thank you to Stephanie, Ethan, and Zachary for being
My
there for
family.
me and watching me do this every week and letting me leave the house early. Hopefully, Ethan had a good grilled cheese tonight. Thank you to Anthony for doing a fantastic job sitting here listening while I asked most of the questions. I had a few other questions, but I let you go. Because I was letting you do your thing. You're doing a great job. And thanks to Kyle for putting this all together today and showing me how to do everything.
We'll see you guys next week.
Whoa!
What
What did I forget? Thanks, Jam Bread.
There it is.
This is Downlane Podcast.